যশোদানন্দন ব্রজজন রঞ্জন যমুনা তীর বনচারী যমুনা তীর বনচারী জয় রাধা মাধব কুঞ্জ বিহারী জয় রাধা মাধব কুঞ্জ বিহারী হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে জয় রাধা গিরিধারী শ্রী রাধে জয় জগন্নাথ জয় বলদেবা জয় সুভদ্রা জয় গৌরনিতাই জয় গৌরনিতাই জয় প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ জয় জয় গুরুদেব জয় গুরুদেব নিতাই গৌর হরি বল নিতাই গৌর হরি বল নিতাই গৌর হরি বল।
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 4, chapter 14, verse number 17, and the chapter is entitled The Story of King Van. So, Rajan Asadva Amatyabhyas Choradibhya Praja Nirpaha Rakshanyata Balim Grihna Iha Pretya Chamodate. Rajan Asadva Amatyabhyas Chorabhya Praja Nirpaha Rakshanyata Balim Grihnan Iha Pretya Chamodate. Rajan Asadva Amatyabhyas Chorad Hare Krishna Choradibhya Praja Nirpaha Rakshanyatha Balim Grahanan Iha Pretya Chamodate. Hare Krishna. Devotees, you can chant this verse if you want to. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Rajanna sadhu amatebhyas choradibhya prajanirpa rakshanyata balim grinan iha pritaya cha mudate. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I am also trying.
Yeah.
Yajana sadho amatebhyas churadibhya prajanipah rakshan yatha bulim grinna iha preta cha modate.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Rajana Shadhyamatebhyas Choradibhyah Prajanipah Rakshan Yatha Bolim Grinyan Iho Pretya Chamodate. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so anyone wants to read the synonym? I'll just try to get that.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I am reading it.
Okay, you can read it.
Rajan, O king, Ashadhu, mischievous, Amatebhya, from ministers, Chora Adibhya, from thieves and rogues, Prajaha, the citizens, Nipo, the king, Rakshan, protecting, Yatha, accordingly as, Bulim, taxes, Grinnan, accepting, Iha, in this world, Pritya, after death, Cha also, Modate, enjoys. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Someone can read the translation?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavad
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna. Dhanavad.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The saintly person continued, when the king protects the citizen from the disturbances of mischievous ministers as well as from thieves and rogues, he can, by virtue of such pious activities, accept taxes given by his subjects. Thus, a pious king can certainly enjoy himself in this world as well as in the life after death. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. And the purport is a long one, so if anyone wants to read the purport, so those who have not tried this, did not have not tried the verse or the synonyms or translation. Anyone wants to try?
Okay, you can try the first part, Prabhu. First part of the purport. You want me to try?
Hare Krishna, bro.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. First part, if you don't mind. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The duty of a pious king is described very nicely in this verse. His first and foremost duty is to give protection to his citizens from thieves and rogues, as well as from ministers who are no better than thieves and rogues. Formerly, ministers were appointed by the king and were not elected. Consequently, if the king was not very pious or strict, the ministers also would become thieves and rogues and exploit the innocent citizens. It is the king's duty to see that there is no increase of thieves and rogues, either in the government secretariat or in the departments of public affairs. If a king cannot give protection to citizens from thieves and rogues, both in the government service and the public affairs, he has no right to exact taxes from them. In other words, the king or the government that taxes can levy taxes from the citizens only if the king or government is able to give protection to the citizens from thieves and rogues.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So, someone can read the next part of the purport by Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
In the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 12.1.42, there is description of these thieves and rogues in the government service. As stated, Prajaste Bhakshayi Shanti Mlecha Rajanya Rupinaha. These proud mlechas, persons who are less than Shudras, representing themselves as kings, will tyrannize their subjects, and their subjects, on the other hand, will cultivate the most vicious practices. Thus, practicing evil habits and behaving foolishly, the subjects will be like their rulers. The idea is that in the democratic days of Kali Yuga, the general population will fall down to standard of Shudras, as stated, Kalau Shudra Sambhavaha. Practically, the whole population of world will be Sudra. A Sudra is fourth class man who is only fit to work for three higher social castes. Being fourth class men, Sudras are not very intelligent. Since population is fallen in these democratic days, they can only elect a person in their category, but a government cannot run very well when it is run by Sudras. The second class of men, known as Kshatriyas, are specially meant for governing a country under the direction of saintly persons, Brahmanas, who are supposed to be very intelligent. Other ages in Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Dwapar Yuga, the general populace was not so degraded and head of the government was never elected. The king was the supreme executive personality, and if he caught any minister stealing like thieves and rogues, he would at once have them killed or dismissed from service. As it was duty of king to kill thieves and rogues, it was similarly his duty to immediately kill dishonest ministers in government service. By such strict vigilance, the king could run the government very well, and the citizens would be happy to have such a king. The conclusion is that unless the king is perfectly able to give protection to the citizens from rogues and thieves, he has no right to levy taxes from the citizens for his own sense gratification. However, if he gives all protection to the citizens and levies taxes on them, he can live very happily and peacefully in this life, and at the end of this life be elevated to heavenly kingdom or even to Vaikunthas, where he will be happily in all respects. Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chaksurunmritmena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtha Bhutala Srimati Radha Govinda Goswami Niti Namine Namaste. Prabhupada Devam Gauravani Pracharya Nirvishesha Srinivadi Gramadini Nistarina. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtha Bhutala Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharya Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paschata Deshtarina. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you all the devotees for joining us this morning. Hare Krishna. So this is a very nice verse. So what's happening here is we know there was a king, and that king's name was a very mischievous king, a very cruel,
Vena. Vena.
Vena. So the name of the king is Vena, and so we know that Vena was he was coming from a very good dynasty. His father was a great king. Who's the father? Who's the father?
Prithu.
King Anga.
Prithu. No.
Anga, King Anga.
King Anga. King Anga. King Anga was a great king, and he was a devotee as well. King Anga, and King Anga was performing sacrifices, and the demigods wouldn't come to take it. So he wanted to know what the fault in his sacrifices were, and the brahmanas who were conducting the sacrifice said, "There's one fault in you, and that fault is that you don't."
From
What's
your
the fault?
past life, in your past life, it has come from your past life.
Yeah. Yes, past life what? In past life, you must have performed some sinful activities. Therefore, you do not have a son,
You do not have a son.
and therefore we are not accepting your sacrifices. And then what happened is they said, you should perform sacrifice to Lord Vishnu and have a son. And so he performed a sacrifice for Lord Vishnu, and he did get a son. And the name of the son is
Vena.
Vena. So now we know that normally Normally, when some sacrifice is performed to get a good son, one gets a good son. Like we know that Drupad Maharaj wanted to get a son, and he, through sacrifice, he got a son and a daughter. Who are they?
Daughter is Draupadi.
Draupadi. And Drishtadyumna.
Drishtadyumna. So Drishtadyumna, Dyumna, and Draupadi. Of course, Drishtadyumna was the one he wanted. He wanted to have a son who will be able to kill Dronachari. And of course, he was also interested in having a daughter who will get married to Arjuna. So he got both a son and a daughter. There are many people who perform sacrifices, or sometimes we know that, of course, Lord also appeared, Lord Ramachandra appeared when who performed the sacrifice, the Putra Kamesti Yagya.
King Dashratha.
King Dashrath, with the help of Vasishji, and of course another great sage whose name was Shringi Rishi. Right, so there was a yagya performed, and Lord actually appeared with his three other brothers. And so sometimes they sacrifice, sometimes not sacrifice, sometimes someone gives some fruit, for example, or some benediction. Like we know in the case of Chitraketu Maharaj, who gave the benediction that he can have a son?
Angira Muni.
Angira Rishi, correct. And there's also one case where one sage actually, someone actually was very, very disturbed, did not have a son, so he went to the forest to perform austerities. And in the forest, one sannyasi actually gives him a fruit. You take this fruit and give it to your wife, and then she will have a son. And then, of course, he gave that to the cow. Who was that Brahmana? And who was that's mentioned in Padma Purana. This is the wife was Dunduli, and Atmadev was the name of the Brahman. And he did not give it to the wife, but he gave it to the wife, but wife did not want to take it, but gave it to the cow. And from the cow, there was a great son born, and his name was? We had a ear like a cow.
Gokaran.
Gokaran, yeah, thank you. Gokaran. And there's a story in the scriptures about how Gokaran delivered his brother Dundukari. And the wife was Dunduli. And so the wife was not of good nature. And then there's a lot of stories in the Padma Purana about this. In the glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam, how Bhagavatam delivers a very, very sinful person like Dundukari. So here we see that the son was born by performing sacrifice to Lord Vishnu, but not a good son. How does that happen? How can one perform sacrifice to Lord Vishnu and have a son who is crooked, cruel, mischievous?
The Lord does this as a favor sometimes to favor the devotee.
Yes, Lord does it to favor a devotee, because sometimes a devotee may get too much attached to material possessions, to children, and so sometimes it's not that, because when you ask things from demigods, they don't actually think, they just give it. Like Lord Shiva will give, to Bhasmasur or Varikasur, you can have whatever you want. Just tathastu. What does he want to do? He wants to put the hand on someone's head, and then immediately that person turns into
Ashes.
But still he gives such benedictions. But Lord doesn't actually give such benedictions. Lord is very, very careful. You may ask for some benedictions, different benedictions, but he will, if one is a devotee and very sincerely asks, then Lord will give that which is beneficial. So he wanted to give him a son, which will be the cause of his renunciation. So because of that, we know that later on, when this son was born and he starts giving suffering to the citizens, he will just kill unnecessarily, the animals, and he will give so much suffering to the citizens. He was, later on when he becomes the king. Before he was a king, he was giving suffering, and then the father could not tolerate this. Father left home and he went to the forest. So the son actually became the cause of his renunciation. And so such Lord actually makes such arrangements sometimes. So now what happened is after the father goes, there was no king. And then the citizens searched for the king. They went and looked for the king, but they couldn't find the king. And what they did was, because the king could not be found, then the king who had only one son, Anga Maharaj had only one son. His name is
Vena.
Vena. So Ven was made the king. He was not a good king because he was very, very cruel and very mischievous, and all the bad qualifications he had. But one good qualification he had was he was very, very powerful. He was because you see there are things which are mentioned about a Kshatriya. Who should a Kshatriya? What are the qualities of a Kshatriya? Shauryam, Tejo, Dhriti, Daksha, Yuddha, Chape, Palayanam, Danam, Ishvara Bhavascha, Chhatra Karma, Swabhavajan. This is a nature. These are natural qualities of a
Kshatriya.
Kshatriya. Shaura means heroism. So he was very, very powerful. And Teja means powerful and heroism. He had those things. Sauryam, Tejo, Dhritir, determination to fight and determination to do illegal things. He had those things. But there are things that he did not have, Dhanam and all those things. And so the good qualities he did not have. And he did not run away from battle also. Yuddha Chapya Palayana. So he had some good qualities, some very bad qualities, but he used it not for the good purpose. He used it for the
causing trouble to the citizens.
He should be protecting the citizens, but he's giving trouble to the citizens with his qualities. So one good thing happened is when Vena became the king, then all the
Rocks and
thieves and rocks actually
ran away.
ran away because he was so strong. He was the Chora Ganyam. He's a topmost thief. Of course, in material sense, and not in spiritual sense, because we know that in spiritual sense, the topmost thief is
Lord himself.
Lord himself. Choragra Ganyam Purusham Namami in the Chorastakam. So in the material sense, he was the topmost thief because he would, and then all the smaller thieves and rocks, they ran away from there, from the kingdom. So that good thing happened is in that sense. And now the Brahmanas and all the sages actually, the rishis made him the king. But then he started doing things like no sacrifice, stopped everyone from performing sacrifice, and all the Brahmanas, they couldn't perform their duties, and so now they want to give some good advice to Ven. So they thought we enthroned him. So now let's give him some good advice, and maybe he will listen. The father of Vena was Anga Maharaj, and his mother was not from a good parentage. Her mother was, what was the mother's name?
Sunita.
Sunita, yeah. So she was the daughter of Mrityu.
Death personified.
Yeah, death personified, Mrityu. So he had the qualities of the mother, Sunita, my mother's family actually. What do you call the Mrityu? And now what happened is they are advising him, giving him some good instructions. So that's why verse number 14 is Munaya Uchuhu. So there's not only one Muni, there are many great sages, and they're all getting together to give him some good advice on how to be a good ruler, how to be a good king, because the king needs to always be guided by the
Brahmanas.
Brahman. So they need to be guided because the Brahmanas know the scriptures. They know the scriptures, and according to the scriptures, they guide the king, the Raja. And there was no constitution. The constitution was now we have the constitution. The constitution is followed, and the lawyers will be advising the government. So on what are the different clauses of the constitution. But previously we know that the constitution was what?
The scriptural injunctions.
The scriptural injunctions. What is to be done and what is not to be done was actually given. What Kshatriya should do, what king should do, there's Raj Dharma. And then there is all those things are given in the scriptures. And according to the scriptures, the sages will guide the king. And the king will follow the instructions of the sages or the Brahmanas. And so here they are giving good advice. The Shastra is very important. Shastra and Shastra. Shastra is for controlling the citizens, the subjects and thieves and others, controlling them. Shastra, weapons, and Shastra is also important. And so the sages, Brahmanas, they guided because without Shastra, Shastra vidimusudya vartate kamakartana siddhimam apnotina sukham na paramritam. Without, if one neglects the injunctions of the scriptures and acts whimsically, for them there's no happiness, there's no
perfection, and and they cannot go the ultimate destination.
Therefore, yes, Prabhu. Tasmat shastram pramanute karya karyavasya. Gyatva shastra vidanatam karma kartum yaharasi. So therefore, one should follow karya, what is to be done and what is not to be done. One should refer to the
Shastra.
Refer to the Shastras, refer to the scriptures. And from the scriptures, one can know what is to be done and what is not to be done. So now here they're giving their instructions how to, be a good leader, because he was not a good leader. He was giving trouble to the citizens. A good leader is meant to protect the citizens. And now here they're saying, Rajan Asadu Amatyabhyas. So Amatyabhyas means Asadu Amatyabhyas. Mantris that give instructions, that give advice, mantri. But what kind of mantris are these? Talking about Asadu, mischievous mantris. So mischievous mantri Rajan. So they are referring to him and addressing him very nicely. They are speaking to him very nicely. But then when they don't, then we know that he gives punishment. But at this point, they're giving him very, very nice instructions. And with very nicely they are speaking. Because it's very important also, because we know that there is also in the 17th chapter, there is also given the austerities of speech, the austerity of speech. And what are the austerities of speech? In the 17:15. What is the verse 17:15?
It is anudbhigakaram vakyam. Shattam priyahitam cha.
Yes, continue to.
Anudbhigakaram vakyam. Anudbhigakaram shattam priyahitam cha. Sadhaya Vangmaya Tapa Uchyate. Vangmaya Tapa Uchyate.
Vangmayam Tapa Uchyate. Yes, correct. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat. Swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva Vangmayam Tapa Uchyate. So anudvegakaram, that doesn't agitate anyone. Anudvegakaram vakyam. Satya means
truthfulness. It should be truth.
Satyam, Priya Hitam. Priya Hitam. Priya and Hitam. Priya means very pleasing. And beneficial. Should be beneficial. So they are speaking nicely, very pleasingly they are speaking. and it is also beneficial for him, because if he doesn't follow, then it's it's not good for him, and also beneficial for the citizens. Satyam anudvegikaram vakyam. Of course, this is a speech which will agitate him, but it's also truth. Anudvegikaram vakyam satyam priyatante swadhyabhyasanam chaiva angmanta pochate. These are 5 things. Anudvegikaram, satyam, priyam, hitam, and also swadhyabhyasanam chaiva. Swadhyaya abhyasana means one with the speech, one should do the swadhyaya, reading the scriptures, speaking about the Lord, or the swadhyaya means also reciting the scriptures. Yes, Prabhuji? Yes, so here they are very nicely speaking. Rajan asadva matyabhya. So Rajan, the chorabhya, the chora adhish, chora adibhya, thieves and others, thieves and rogues, and also the sadhu ministers or mischievous ministers. Praja nirpaha rakshan. What should a king do? Praja nirpa means is the king of nirpa. Nirpa's duty is responsibility is to rakshan, to protect. Rakshan means to protect the citizens, praja, from asadu ministers, mischievous ministers, and also from the thieves and
thief ministers.
Yeah. So they are meant to do this. The king has to do this, because some ministers can also may not be good. So the ministers can give trouble to the citizens also. Sometimes the ministers also give trouble to the citizens. So they need to be given punishment. And Prabhupada says in the report that they will be given punishment, or sometimes they will be killed. The ministers, if they're not, the king will be doing this. And this is the job of the king. And also the thieves and the rogues, the king needs to protect the citizens from them. So nowadays, there's a problem that a lot of people have to employ security guards, because the king or the minister, the leaders of the country, they are not protecting the citizens themselves. So they have to pay themselves to get that protection. They have to have the security cameras, which cost so much money every month. They have to install security cameras, and they have to pay on a regular basis to these companies. And then if something goes wrong, they have to call the right kind of people to help them. And they have the big bagla bars and other things for their protection. But whose job is this? To protect the citizens. It is the job of the
King's job.
It's the king's job to protect the citizens. But nowadays, because the kings are not doing, or the leaders are not doing, the ministers or prime ministers are not doing this. So, but they need to protect the praja, and the praja doesn't only mean the humans, but the praja needs also is
all the animals,
everyone, praja, all that includes. So, they need to, Raja has to do this, and so in this way, we can see the sages are advising this. And then if he's able to do this, then niyata balim grihana, then he can receive the taxes. So here we can see also the ministers were also, I think, ministers were also not good as then he was, because the ministers need to also guide the king. Mantri means what? Mantri. Mantrana, जो दे उसको मंत्री कहते हैं. What's the meaning of this?
Who gives advice?
Yeah, who gives correct advice. It is mentioned that If the mantri starts only pleasing the king and not giving the king good advice, then what happens? The kingdom is spoiled. What is spoiled?
The kingdom is spoiled.
The kingdom is spoiled. And if the doctor, Haribol Nalit Tantru, if the doctor gives wrong advice to the patients and doesn't guide them properly, then if they are doing some wrong things, eating something wrong or drinking alcohol, no problem, drink alcohol as much as you want, but take this medication. That means you're making the customer internal patient. So the doctor needs to give, the Vaidya needs to give good advice to the
Patient.
Patient.
Otherwise, what is spoiled? The health of the patient is spoiled. And the guru needs to give
Advice to disciples.
the good, correct advice according to Dharma. And what is the duty of the disciple? If the guru comes under the control of the disciples and is not heavy, guru means heavy, guruta. And guru doesn't actually give right advice to the disciples, thinking that disciples might get disturbed. I want to keep everyone happy. Then what is spoiled?
Character.
Mm.
Character.
The disciple actually will not make any progress in spirituality. So the dharma is spoiled. Is the dharma of the disciple. So it's all these things are given in the scriptures. So here, the mantris were not those kind of some mantris, because this is he became very, very powerful and very puffed up, and he thinks that he's the controller and he'll have his control. At the beginning, we know that the mantris were not very happy that Vena became the king, but here talking about such mantris, which means that he must have taken those kind of thieves and rocks, and because he's giving suffering to the others and he's not getting good advice, he's just the ministers have also, the ministers should also be punished here according to the sages, which means that they were not doing their job properly. And Rakshan Yatha Balim Grihnan. And then accordingly you take taxes, accept taxes from them. If you're not able to give protection to them, then why should you take taxes? That is the point. The taxes you can only collect taxes from them if you are doing your job as a king. Other yatha balim grihna. Yatha, then you can accept the taxes from them. And if you do this, iha pretya chamodate, then you can enjoy in this world. Iha.
And the world death.
Pretya. Iha means here in this world, and then pretya means after
Death.
After death. After that, you can enjoy chamodate. So, of course, we know that this Vena was not going to take the advice, and he did not accept the advice of the sages, because he then, when they advised him to worship the Supreme Lord, then he says that I am to be worshipped.
Yeah,
I am to be
the
worshipped.
God.
Otherwise, like you are living up your own Lord and then worshipping a paramour. So something like that, he says, and he doesn't actually accept the advice. But here, again, the important thing is they're giving good advice to him. There's one very nice verse which says that Fulahi farahi na bet jadapi sudha barasahi. Full, you know what full means? Jalad. Jalad means like Fulahi farahi na bet yadapi Sudha barasahi jalad. You know what this means? Fulahi farahi na bet.
No flowers in the tree?
Fool or falahi. Fool or fal. Fulahi or farahi and fool lagna or fal lagna.
Oh, fruits.
So bet means the bans. बांस कभी फूलेगा नहीं और
फल भी नहीं देगा.
फल भी नहीं देगा. फूल ही फर ही ना बेच यद्यपि सुधा बरस ही जलद.
Raining. Sorry.
Jalada means makes loud.
Jalad means jalad, one that
Cloud.
gives jal. Kirtida means one who gives kirti.
Fame.
Kirtida, fame. And Yashoda means one who gives yes, fame. Kirtida, jalada. Jalad means jal means
Rain.
water.
Rain water?
Water. That which gives water. Jalad. Jal yadapi jal sudha sudha barasahi jalad. Sudha means like
Honey.
amrit, nectar. Water like nectar. Even if the clouds actually shower the nectarian water or nectar like water or even nectar on bed and keeps watering it again and again, again and again, again and again. Will you get flowers or fruits from bamboo or bans?
No.
No. Fulahi farahi na bet jadapi sudha barasahi jalad. And similarly, Murak Hirday Nachet. Similarly, Murak Hirday Nachet, Jo Guru Milahi Biranchi Sama. What is the meaning of this? Jo Murak Hirday Nachet. The Murak
Foolish.
means a foolish person, the very grossly foolish. उनके हृदय में ज्ञान नहीं आएगा. They won't become. They won't understand. They won't get the knowledge. Murak hirday na chet jadapi milahi guru biranchi sama. Even if one has a guru like Biranchi. Biranchi is
Brahma. Like a Brahma.
Brahma. The Murak, the foolish person, will not become knowledgeable. Foolish person. Really like grossly foolish. Just like this is mentioned in the case of whom? In Ravan. Because Ravan was advised by so many people who all advised Ravan that whatever he was doing was not right.
His brother Vibhishan.
His brother Vibhishan. Yes, correct.
His wife?
His wife Mandodari, correct.
Hanumanji.
Hanumanji, correct. Who was sent to him just before the battle?
Angad?
Angad, correct. So many people, even Jatayu also gave him good advice. So all this advice,
Even Mandodari's father.
Mandodari's father also.
Yeah.
So many different advices, but did that bring about any transformation in Ravan?
No.
Mura ke hirday na chet jadapi guru milahi biranchi sama. Fulai farahi na bet jadapi sudha barasahi jalat. Hare Krishna. So here they are giving very nice advice, but we can see there's just not he's not interested in understanding it. Hare Krishna. So any questions or comments for what you have learned? Is of course a lot of things that Prabhupada has written in the paper. Maybe in the next few minutes you can just let me know one thing that you have learned from the paper of Srila Prabhupada. I can mention one thing, for example, here. Prajaste bhakshayishyanti mlech Rajanya Rupina. Rajanya Rupina. The Mlech have taken the form of a king.
Okay.
Mlech. Rajanya Rupina. Raja के रूप में क्या हो कौन हो गए?
Lectures.
Mlech.
Shudras.
Mlech. And Prajaste Bhakshayanti. Bhakshayasyanti. प्रजा को खाने में जुटे लगे. So that is very nice, point which is mentioned in the, of course, in the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the kind of leaders we have now in this Kali Yuga. This is the fault of Kali Yuga. Yes, anything, one point that you have learned from the Prabhupada's purport?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, Raj Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu, first of all, for joining us from Canada. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. Yes,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Yeah, in this yuga, the government will be run by Sudras. So this is what we are experiencing, and these will be not very intelligent people, as in the purport, right? So that's what I understand.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. The governments, all they're not trained Kshatriyas leading the country or the the different deshas, and they're all run by the Sudras. And who are the Sudras? They're elected by
Other people.
other Sudras. Other Sudras. One Sudra being elected by the other Sudras.
Yes.
So this is a democracy. So previously it was monarchy, and monarchy means very trained, qualified kings were there. And then we can see how powerful the Brahmanas are. They can curse someone and they will die. Like when we see that even the kings were very powerful. Nimi Maharaj cursed Vasishji, such a great personality, and he left his body. And Vasishji cursed Nimi Maharaj straight away. They died. They killed each other by only curse, no weapons. And here also they will see how they punish. They will not use any weapons later on. They will just kill Ven Maharaj. Not by any weapon, but just by the power of the words, how powerful their words were. They could kill them just by what we know. Even Parikshit Maharaj was a great king, and then he was cursed by this little child, Shringi Rishi. And then he left his body seven days later. And exactly they say after 7 days you'll be killed by a snake, like that, Very, very powerful. No weapons. That's why people were scared of the Brahmanas. Here we can see this king. Here he's not worried about all the instructions, wonderful instructions that they are giving him. Yes, anything else? Just 1 or 2 minutes.
We should follow the Shastra, what is
Yeah.
given in Shastra.
And we follow the Shastra. And those people who know the Shastra, Guru and Sadhus, we follow them because they can advise us correctly on the basis of the Shastras. Yes.
The king can take taxes when he is really protecting his citizens, because he gets the right to. When he protects his citizen, he has the right to collect taxes. Otherwise, not.
Yeah. Only the kings have the right to collect taxes if they do their job. Then they qualify to get the taxes. The job is to protect them. Otherwise, of course, they get punished later on for not doing what they should do. Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Anything else?
And nowadays the things are different. They don't give and take. They take and give. They take and give nothing. That is how this today's movement is.
They take the normal tax. They take the GST. They take everything has got so many taxes. You go like the customs duty, and all so many different kinds of taxes, and all this is called praja. This is what Prabhupada writes. Prajaste bhakshishyanti. This is eating the praja. Prajas, this is, they're taking so much. Of course, you are right. But they're not giving what they should give. Yes, anything else? Okay, so thank you so much. And just in the next few minutes, what are some of the things that we learned from this verse? What are some of the
Yeah.
other things? Or what did you learn today? Or if you have any questions.
The king should always follow the this good advices of the Brahmanas, so
Yes.
that they can provide protection to the citizen.
Yes, the king.
And if not, and the consequences follows.
Yes, the consequences follow, which means in this world they cannot be happy, iha pratya, or even after. Um, even after leaving this body, they suffer for not being a good king, not being a good leader. They have to suffer the consequences. Yes. Otherwise, they can enjoy now and they can enjoy later. And Prabhupada writes, enjoy later in the Vaikuntha even. Here, and even Vaikuntha. Dhruv Maharaj was the king, and then he went back to Vaikuntha. Dashrath Maharaj was the king, and he went to Saket. Parishit Maharaj was the king, he went to the spiritual world. So there are kings who are devotees, they can reach the destination, they can go get the supreme destination. But even others, if they do the works, their job religiously, correctly, then they can at least go to the Swargalok. That's why, so Prabhupada writes, however, simply abolishing monarchy and replacing it with democracy is not sufficient unless the government men are religious and follow in the footsteps of great religious personalities. No, that's six, the other way. Sorry, the last one. The last verse. However, if he gives all protection to the citizens and levies taxes on them, he can live very happily and peacefully in this life, and at the end of this life, be elevated to the heavenly kingdom or even to the Vaikunthas, where he will be happy in all respects. Yes. Yes, anything else?
Thank you for the wonderful class and sharing your realizations and the references, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us, Hare Krishna, and giving your
just one thought came to the mind. Prabhu, it is said in the Kali Yuga, it's very difficult to be Brahmana, or very difficult, even if we train ourselves, it's very, very difficult to be Brahmana or Kshatriya. So just wondering, like, is there really alternative to democracy in Kali Yuga, or anything how this democracy can be improved, like, or is there really an alternative to democracy in Kali Yuga?
In Kali Yuga, the thing is, it's not easy for us to change change or not follow democracy, because it's going to be there, and we are as devotees, we can't actually do much, because it is all based on like people voting the leaders. It's democracy. So, but for us, what the best thing is for us, for the devotees, at least we can implement this in our society. So we have good brahmanas. They're not really that type, which leads the country. At least we can have the, what do you call, good leaders in our society. And leaders means good Kshatriya type of Vaishnavas. Just like Arjuna was what kind of Vaishnava? He was a Vaishnava, but he was
Kshatriya.
The spiritual varnashrama, we can say. So we always there will be people who will want to be leaders. So we can have those kind of leaders, but the leaders should be, of course, not leading a country. It's not, may not be possible, but at least lead our society in a proper way. And also the next class, the brahmanas, of course, the brahmanas. The brahmanas means for us in our society will be who?
Gurus, our gurus.
The gurus and the preachers, right? There's a brahmana. So, and then also the Vaishyas are those who are doing the business. Devotees doing businesses, their own businesses, prasadam distribution, like restaurants and
Book
other things.
distribution.
And and also they sell books and other things. So doing it in a proper way, and also the other is the others who are serving others in. So at least we can establish that in our movement, like following it, and might not be possible to do it in a country, but we don't know about in the future if anyone actually a devotee becomes a leader, then it can still be so hard. For example, let's say someone becomes Modi is the Prime Minister of India now, we know that.
Yeah.
But for him to just stop cow killing, is it hard or easy? So many years he's been Prime
Very
Minister.
hard, very hard.
One state, Gujarat, they managed to do it, but there's still so much going on there as well, illegally. If he wants to make the whole country, or Yogi is also trying. How many years they've been trying? How many years they've been in government?
Since 8 years now.
8 years now. Have they been able to do it?
Yeah.
It's so hard. Of course, they're doing some good things, but it's not that easy. So at least what we can do is we can follow these principles. When it comes to leadership and all these things, we can use all this advice. Not ruling the whole country, but at least running our movement or running our small center or whatever. We can try to practice this as much as possible.
Yeah, we are doing in the grassroots level. Earlier it was from the top. Now we are doing in the grassroots level. If the grassroots level people are educated to the right guidance, then slowly and steadily it will grow up.
Yeah, as Prabhuji, does that answer your question?
Yes, Prabhu, that's very good point. Yes, we should like change starts with ourselves rather than.
Yeah.
Yes.
We do the changes ourselves in our movement, in our society, or in our homes. All these places we can make the change. And they're training a lot of brahmacharis also in India. So maybe who knows what can happen in future? No one knows. But if at least we can do a lot of preaching and put in these values in people, and then later on, if such people become the leaders, they can make some change at least.
Yes.
Correct.
In Kaliuga, it's hard.
That's right.
You can start from the bottom. From the top, it's hard.
That's true. Thank you, Prabhu.
Anything else? Any other question? Any more?
Prabhuji, there is no others to make any questions. So thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your.
Thank all the devotees. Shri Radha Girdhari Bhagwan.
Jai.
Bhagwan ki jai. Shri
Jai.
Hanuman ki jai.
Jai.
Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
All the devotees, thank you for joining us from all the different parts of the world and different parts of the country. I'd like to thank Raj Prabhu also, who's just joining us from Canada.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much. And Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa
Yes,
So,
sindhu.
Kripasindu Pyevacha, Bhutana Bhavane, Ananta Koti Vaishnaviki Jai.
His Grace Madhav Govind Prabhu ki
Jai.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, all the devotees. Thank you.